that. You just mentioned classrooms and the possibility of going beyond the four walls. But why is then all this technology and new opportunities still converging around putting people inside that box for so many hours? That bugs me a little bit. How do you see that situation changing?
You know, we've got to think about new universities, new secondary schools. So we've got to move beyond the notion of four walls. There's a book here.
So
it's called Learning at the Back Door. You see this little Russian kid looking into the school over here. He's not allowed into the school. Those four-walled rooms. This other individual has resources wrapped around him. He can learn whenever he wants. Today, this kid doesn't have to think about learning from Oxford or Stanford. He can, whenever he wants to, or she wants to. He doesn't have to go into the classroom. Today, this student can go to a podcast and listen to something like this, when he or she needs to.
But then in the reality of the day-to-day, I'm in fact quite forced, even at a legal penal level, to bring my kid to a four-wall classroom, and I'm not allowed nor supported nor rewarded if I try to invest the little time left after all those hours and the memorization exercises assigned by the Soviet school to him to explore these other worlds, to access the professors he will want to be into, the affinity groups of other kids that don't have to belong to his same district to be part of his classroom, but they enjoy his same passion. So the dream I see is the same one, but the reality of it, for what I see, is still very far and distant, and the culture around me seems also to reject me when I try to pronounce those new thoughts. So what is your experience?
Here we are. We're at this playing field today where we've all engaged, and you and I have gone to these schools. There's a few people out on the fringe areas who are deciding to learn from these online contents when they need them to get retooled, who are adults typically. But young people today in the US, like a Doris Vivtak, the world's youngest teacher, 11 years old, learns online and teaches online since she was 6 years old. These are the early well, how do you call them? The pioneers, like we call them. Soon those will no longer be the pioneers. Your kids will be jumping in too. Your state, your Soviet state, I think you called it, will be seeing these success stories of these kids on the fringes. These fringe people will become the norms, who learn from podcasts, ebooks, wikis, blogs, or their own personal learning environments. This is shaking people up. In the US anyhow. In Korea, where I visited recently. In Singapore. Now today we've got so many options available to us if universities, colleges, schools, corporate training centers don't take advantage. We're going to have a revolution of the people who demand it, you and I, not just us. World's open. How do we take advantage of that? So we just see the inclination of this with people learning on ships and boats. Those guys going around the world at age 17, they were learning all the time. They're taking their sailboat around the world. If they can learn from a boat, if Arctic explorers can learn from the ice at the North Pole and South Pole, if people can be learning from trains or on planes, we've taken learning and pushed it out beyond schools to so many non-traditional and informal learning venues. People can no longer ignore it. People can no longer say it's not worthwhile. We have to start exploring where it works and how to get the information out to as many locations as possible. That should be the goal of all politicians, of all educators, to spread beyond schools. Schools are important. But let's push well beyond where humankind has gone. Wherever the species has gone, we can learn. That's my notion.